Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar on improving social impact through operational excellence. Very excited to be here today talking about our Changemakers 2020 inaugural event and some of the awesome work that came out of it. So I'm going to start with some opening remarks by the founder and CEO of Tonkin here, Sagi, who I'll introduce to you in just a second. And then our winning nonprofit and maker, Jeff and Alex here, are going to discuss the awesome technology that they built that allowed them to win our $5,000 prize as a result of this event. And then Jeff will show you a demo of that. We'll go into Q&A and some closing remarks. Just please make sure to post any questions in the chat or question section throughout this entire discussion. We'll definitely pause and answer anything as it comes along. And with that said, I'd like to introduce you to the founder and CEO of Tonkin, Mr. Sagi.
Hey everyone, thank you for joining us today. Extremely exciting event for me, wrapping up this amazing event we had last week. A little bit about myself. I'm, like Brianna mentioned, CEO and founder of Tonkin. We are the operating system for business operations, and really we're all about empowering operations and allowing them to build complex processes with no code. And so, the Changemakers was really our way to give back, and it was an idea that became this amazing event that I'm so excited to kind of walk through everything. The story of Changemakers actually started from one of our customers we had earlier this year. We usually work with huge, large enterprises, right? But earlier this year, we had an opportunity to help a small nonprofit with a really large cause. And with COVID-19, the need for people that cannot shop themselves and have help, like elderly and stuff, became obviously extremely real with the limitation of COVID and the danger with it. And so they wanted to match and bring together people that can go and do the shopping with people that need help. So we met with them and was able to help them run their entire operations on the Tonkin platform. And it was a great way for us to help them and feel like we're bringing them back. But it also sparked a bigger idea. What if we can take that concept of matching that Shopping Angels does, but bring it to our experience with them and try to match operations and technical folks, which we call makers, with nonprofit that might doesn't have access to those resources and have operational challenges and needs and technical challenges that those makers can help with. And so from a very small idea, this became Changemakers 2020, and it happened last week, and it was a huge success. With amazing people joining from nonprofits and partners, and of course makers. And I want to kind of ask Brianna to come back to sort of talk through it as she leads the adaptive ops community and led that event. And so, first of all, like literally just like many claps because the feedback was off the charts. And so tell us a little bit more about the type of people that joined us in this event.
Yeah, thanks, Siggy. I appreciate it. It was really impressive to see. First of all, the first people we brought in were the partners, right? So we had Airtable, Google developers, Fin Analytics, all along with Tonkin, all offering their technology either at no cost or at a massive discount throughout the entire week and moving into the future after this event as well. And then we had partners like Pledge 1% and Race for Good on the nonprofit side, bringing in some excellent nonprofits like the Global Peace Foundation, WikiEducation, and others that are really transforming, especially in 2020, a year that was kind of a dark time, right? And these people are really making a difference. So, and everything from education to work with veterans, which Alex will talk about in just a minute, on to women's health and global economics, et cetera, and equal housing. It really just ran the gambit of awesome nonprofits. And then on the maker side, we had companies represented like Hubspot and Verkada and Harness, et cetera, many of which are in the adaptive ops community. And so we had this awesome community effort come together as makers to help these nonprofits, and it was really incredible to see.
And, I feel like I've been talking about it a lot since, because I just can't stop, being impressed with the closing ceremony. For me, it was just a showcase of so many different areas where, the nonprofit, you guys are, live and breathe practical impact. You're out there and you're making a difference for a lot of people. And for us in the tech world, a lot of times we live in a virtual world. Sometimes it feels like, it's a lot of things that you're working on, and being able to see the impact that the makers were able to have on the nonprofit and their operations was really humbling from one end, and really inspiring from the other hand. And so the makers and the teams that work with the nonprofits on several different things, it's on the screen, but anything from real just technical challenges, combining data, routing, and automating manual tasks and procedures, to sometimes giving advice on finance planning and marketing strategies. So it was like really a breadth of taking those technical skills and knowledge and bring it to the operations needs of the nonprofit. And for me, it was just inspiring what happened when you bring people together and just sit them in a virtual room, right? But a room nonetheless, to trying to solve hard problem together, and just in 1 week, and sometimes even just few hours, to make such an important impact. So for me, I'm inspired right now, and I've been inspired for the entire week, and I think I'll carry this with me for a long time.
Yeah, 100%. And this was one of my favorites here. It said, integrating Salesforce and Eventbrite, saving thousands of dollars and 20 hours a week in staff hours per event. So just like something small as an integration can save 20 hours a week, it's incredible. Yeah, it was awesome to see. And yeah, the impact was really felt across the nonprofits. These are just, pretty lengthy quotes here, but just thought I'd call out a few things from some of our awesome nonprofits that showed up. Up here from In4All.org, Crystal and Kristen said, we're completely confident that this event and the framework and dedication of Tonkin and the makers has created a solution that is by far the most impactful and capacity building thing we have done. You'll see some other shout outs throughout here, just to individual makers like Amit Parker, who did an incredible job at the Global Peace Foundation, and Jacqueline Cuevas from Credit Karma, who helped out Denise Bickerstaff at her nonprofit as well. So just wanted to say thanks to the makers again, and the nonprofits who dedicated their time.
Absolutely. And we had the fun, yet also important sort of, competition at the end, to try to vote and see, what is the most inspiring outcome of that week was. And it was a very close call. But with us is Future of Veterans Foundation, and Alexander and Jeff, the maker that worked with them, to talk about it too. But we were very happy to also offer a donation, $5,000 donation as part of it, and of course the use of our software for free. And so it was just fun to kind of close the week together with seeing everyone's outcomes, and then have the community vote for which one was the winner for that year. And thank you guys for joining us today and talk through it too.
Yeah, thanks. And this was a vote on the most impactful, right? So it wasn't about like the prettiest tech or anything like that. It was what will have the longest impact on the nonprofit, because that's really what this event was all about. So with that, I'd like to introduce you. We had two makers on this project: Aviv, a software engineer at Tonkin here, and then Jeff, a solution architect here at Tonkin, who is here to walk you through it. So Jeff, do you want to give a quick intro, and then I'll pass it over to Alex?
Sure. I'm Jeff, again, solution architect here at Tonkin. Again, honored to be a part of this this whole platform and this whole event. And loved working with Alex and Aviv. Aviv really helped out with getting a lot of the Twilio, the text messaging part, and we'll walk into it in a second, in a bit. And then Alex, I'm really impressed, Alex. I gave you access to like Tonkin. I logged in, and Alex had already integrated like 8 different data sources together. So again, very happy to be a part of this team, and happy to show you what we did in a bit.
Thanks, Jeff. And congrats again on being the winner. Now I want to introduce you all to Alex de la Campa, the managing director of A Future for Veterans. They're doing some incredible work with veterans in the United States. And Alex, I'll let you introduce yourself and then tell us a bit about the work you guys are doing.
Thank you, Brianna. Yeah, shout out to Sagi for, leading this project, and everything that you said. I really appreciate, the idea that this is going to continue forward in your decision making to begin with, or in the future. And I really wanted to shout out you guys because you led with the Changemakers, and then once everybody was signed up, you capped it with that $5,000 donation. So you really led with the intention of meeting nonprofits where they're at, right? And not enticing them with some sort of monetary donation. I thought that was a big, step in how you promoted your product and your guys' selves. And shout out to Brianna for making this whole entire experience like seamless. I mean, you really are like really good at your job, and I appreciate how you led this as well. So thank you for that. And it was a pleasure to work with Jeff and Aviv. They are very knowledgeable in their craft and what they're trying to accomplish. And they took the time to listen to where I was at as a nonprofit and what we were trying to accomplish. And they came up with very novel and exciting solutions. So I'm happy to continue using this platform, your product, to build out our organization to a better capacity to do what we do. And what we do is we provide affordable housing, peer support, and supportive services to military veterans. I think one of the best takeaways from this Changemakers was to hear other organizations, their stories, and what their pain points were, where they were trying to expand their capabilities. And like it brought, professionals together and like humanized this whole process. So hearing everybody's solutions and what they were trying to accomplish was really cool. And it made me realize that like a good friend of mine, he says that the best thing that you can do for military veterans is to stop making them. And I wholeheartedly agree with that. And we bring that into how we operate this organization. So listening to organizations like Community Economic Development Corporation, who also does supportive housing, WikiEducation, who is working with professionals to democratize education. All of these nonprofits, all of these organizations, the communities that they work in, whether they're elderly, whether they're children, whether they're disabled, whether they're disadvantaged, it's important to recognize that as veterans, we join the military coming from a lot of these communities. And so, the solution that we came up with was to create a text forward chatbot that didn't require an app to download, didn't require a website to log on to. You could text somebody and have responses given to you. If that response wasn't valid, someone would be available to find that response to you. for you. And I really appreciate everyone, out of all the nonprofits that were involved in this, they also agreed that this would be a very impactful solution. And so I'm happy for that validation. And in doing so, we recognize that this can work more than just for veterans and veteran-specific resources. This can work for the elderly and a lot of the resources that they need to contact and access. And so we actually work in those kind of spaces. We provide single rooms for veterans, as well as doing matchmaking between elderly people who have space and are trying to live in home, and veterans who are looking for space, and how we can bridge those gaps. And so with this solution, we also see that we can expand our footprint and the support that we provide to the community. So I'm just super thrilled to be a part of this whole thing. And that donation was, the cherry on top. So thank you, Sagi, thank you, Brianna, and Jeff, and everyone involved.
Thank you so much, Alex. That was amazing to hear straight from you how this has impacted you and your organization and the work that you're doing outside of this. It's incredible. Okay, Jeff, I will let you go ahead and take over from here. If you wanted to go over more of these slides, you're welcome to, or you can just jump straight into the demo, whichever you prefer.
Sure. I can jump straight to the demo. I'll see if I can share my screen here. Can everyone see the screen?
Yes.
Awesome. So again, Alex, the problem statement, just want to reiterate, was, people are going to ask all these common questions, and we want to get them the answers as soon as possible. And then sometimes we don't have all the answers. And if that is the case, can we route them to the right people? Can we route them to a Slack channel so that a group of people can help out and contribute to the answer? That was the initial idea. And what we did, and Alex did a lot of this work here, is compile the most frequently asked questions, and then even alternate ways of asking the question, and then seeing if that we can route those answers to the right place. And the other problem was, okay, they can come through email, they can come through text message. We picked text message because that was probably the most available. If somebody is in need, they'll open up their phone, they know the number to call or to text. And what we did is we even built a Twilio integration to be able to communicate with text messages. And a lot of credit goes to Aviv, who's not on the webinar, but he was on the slides. So thanks a lot, Aviv, for all that work. And then the other problem was, okay, now we have Airtable with all the questions. We have text messages with Twilio. We have Slack channel. So we have Slack. How do we actually combine all that together and orchestrate that process end to end? And be able to think about, okay, if I don't know the answer, how do I route it somewhere else? So what we did is we built this flow that you're seeing here. And on the left side, you see anything that comes through SMS. So any text message that comes in. And this could also be an email. This could also be even a Slack channel. But pretty much just monitor some place that people need to ask questions or need help. And from there, this is what Tonkean is doing here, is anytime a question's asked, put it on another Airtable to track everything. So let's track every question that's being asked, no matter what, see if it was answered correctly, see if it wasn't answered correctly. If we've found an answer, so if we match something on the Airtable, and Tonkin is doing this automatically, then copy the message to Slack, no matter what. Even if you found the message, let's let our, the FVF be able to look at the question and then be able to answer no matter what. If it's also found, though, we also auto reply with the answer from the Airtable. So that's this box over here. And then finally, again, if it's not found, and this could be majority of the cases, then we actually message the Slack for a question like, hey, this wasn't found. This was the text message. What do you want to do with it? And from Slack, you can actually reply back to the text message. Or you can create an answer, a frequently asked question, and then put that to the Airtable automatically using Tonkin over here. So I'm going to go ahead and show that. Let's go ahead and look at the chatbot questions first. And I'm going to pull open iMessage. This is just, again, a text message that I can put here. And let's just say maybe the Veterans Crisis Hotline. Maybe that's something that I need to find. And again, right now it's being routed to both the Airtable first, looking for the answer to the question. And then if it found it, which it did, you see how Veterans Crisis Hotline was the question it thought it was, it automatically found it and replied with the URL, the link to the Veterans Crisis Hotline. So basically, no matter what, he gets the answer in the chat Slack channel. But what if they ask something that they don't know the answer to? I need help now, right? What if someone asks a question that there's nothing on the FAQ, but we still want to see it? So right now, on the Slack channel, I get the message, I need help now, and then you can reply. And then from Slack itself, I can auto apply back to the text message itself. So a lot of different things you can do just with a few boxes on Tonkin. Now, what if I want to add an answer that, because people do commonly ask this, maybe we should say, here is a direct number for people that need help now. So that way, if people actually need immediate help, you give them an answer, and then that's now on the commonly asked questions list. And again, like I said, with the metrics, anything that comes in here, you can track and see if it was found or not found. That way, Alex and team, they can build a better response mapping. But that is essentially the project we worked on. Again, this can be extended to multiple flows and multiple sources like email. You can do the same thing with email. But hopefully that made sense, and hopefully that, Alex, you guys find value in this. Thank you.
Great job,
Thank you,
Jeff.
Jeff.
It's like explaining his private child, you know?
Not his first rodeo. Chat's firing up. Franco, it's good to see you here from the Global Peace Foundation, saying awesome things about the UI and complimenting you, Alex. Ryan Miller, some great things to say about you, Alex, that I totally agree with. And then Jane Smith actually has a question. She asked, she said this demo was amazing. What other ways will you use Tonkin in your other projects, Alex? I'm sure we probably don't have an answer to that yet, but maybe some ideas you could share.
Yeah, I'm really excited to explore some of the other solutions that the nonprofits came up with. That Salesforce integration. I'm just now, like Jeff was saying, I play around with this a lot. I'm not necessarily a programmer, but I do understand the business operations and what I'm trying to accomplish. And so with Tonkin being another tool in my tool belt, I think between the work that we're doing with Google Sheets and Airtable, the work that we're doing with Google Analytics, the work that we're going to keep building with Salesforce, and how we register our applications for when we do our peer support groups or our hikes, or even putting registrants on the wait list for housing, the ability to automate these solutions so that we can get back to what Sagi really started with, which was what he loved, right? Was this idea of, the nonprofits, they have this on the ground direct engagement. You get to see the impact you're making, where sometimes in the tech world, you are impacting an enormous amount of people. You just don't necessarily get to see the particular implications of those impacts. So I'm really happy that we're building these bridges, support and cooperation. And I really hope that, this solution inspires people to see what else they can build. And I'm excited to learn from other people in that aspect. So.
Awesome. Thanks, Alex. We have a question here from, go ahead.
I have an idea for you, actually, Alex, from what you have been saying earlier in this session. Even matching the elderly that has houses and the veterans that might need help with. It's actually what we helped with Shopping Angels at the beginning of this conversation when I mentioned is with automatically matching to folks. So there's another area we can explore. And that's actually brings me to another point. Is one of the biggest thing I wanted from Changemakers is to build relationships, right? Is my best case scenario is actually not you using my technology. It's you having a relationship with Jeff, right? And that's something that would live longer, and where you can lean on when you have just random questions or ideas. Some can be solved with Tonkin, some has nothing to do with Tonkin. And I just love that those relationships did start to happen. And that's kind of where that's, like you said, it's our way to connect, sort of be in the same line with you guys, and just be there for you, and partner with you as well. So I do definitely encourage everyone that was on Changemakers. I know some of you are watching us now, but to stay in touch with your makers, because that's kind of what we promised them too, right? That they'll be able to continually help, and because they want to. So it's just great to see.
Yeah, I think we asked in the sign up form in the final application, our makers, like, how much time would you be willing to dedicate after the event? And would you be willing to continue to communicate with your nonprofit after? And I think an overwhelming amount, like 95%, said absolutely, we want to keep hanging out with our nonprofit and helping them along the way. So ditto to what Sagi said. And then Maxine posted a question, which Jeff answered in the chat, but I'll let you do it verbally. How long did it take to set up that Twilio integration, Jeff?
Yeah, it took a day because we used a custom like API callout. So basically, you can, if we don't have a native integration, you can still use the standard way to communicate with an API. But we like the Twilio integration so much, we think other organizations and other companies can use it. We're going to come out with a native integration, which is just a point and click interface next week. So that'll be available for everyone to use.
Awesome. So any Tonkin customers on the call, keep that in mind. Or any nonprofits that are using it right now. Awesome. Okay. Any other questions before we move on? This is a really open discussion. Max had some great things to say about the event, saying he's still in contact with his makers and his nonprofit. Ben had a comment here about how he used Tonkin to automatically connect clients with volunteers by using their home addresses to find the closest pairings, just like how Jeff used Twilio to send texts. You can use Google Maps to automatically find close neighbors, which is super helpful, I think, Alex. And then we have a question for Sagi. Sagi, what were some common challenges you saw across nonprofit orgs? Might be a question for Jeff as well, because he was involved in the matching process.
Yeah, I think what was interesting to me, and it was kind of the hypothesis of that sort of like set to verify, and we did is, there's the art of possible, and a lot of times when we're focused on in our top of our game in an area, we have zero knowledge of other areas, or they look like magic for us, right? And kind of what I was hoping to do, and it felt like Jeff and other makers were able to help bridges, is really just sort of like being that in the room and in on the table, and thinking through their operation challenges from a variety of areas, and how to sometimes small changes can make a big impact, right? So I think in a way there's just educational, or just like experience in areas that can make a big difference, that the makers and our professionals are spending every day on, in tech companies and so on, that can make a lot of difference. And so I think that was the biggest thing, is how a marketing discussion can make a huge difference, and a finance discussion can make a huge difference, and then an integration can make a huge difference, and then an automation can make a huge difference. And so it's just it's almost humanizing the entire experience, and sort of like bringing everyone to that sort of knowledge, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I can come here too. I noticed there was like 3 buckets where a lot of projects came in, a lot of nonprofits, and actually it's very common in larger organizations as well, where the first problem is the data is very hard to manage. It's not very transparent. It's in all these different places. So a lot of the projects that we worked on, the first step was just let's get all the data in a way that we can organize or get it all in one place that we can parse or look through. And then the second phase is more like, okay, now we need to get the processes and the people on board with this data. So the second part would be, okay, now that we have the data, let's make sure all the systems and the people can use the data in a way that's very efficient and very productive. And then I think the final phase is where you can get to the orchestration and automation, and you have all these data sources, everyone knows how to use them. Now let's stitch them together with a tool like Tonkin or with a process that makes sense to really make sure everything is efficient. And then that way, all the operations can be as productive as possible with as few man hours as possible or human hours as possible.
Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, Sagi. We have a question here from Jane Smith, which I answered in the chat, but I'll answer verbally. Is there a way ops professionals can support nonprofits? Would love to see this as an ongoing project. Yeah, funny you should mention. We've been talking internally as a team, and we have decided that we'll continue to use the adaptive ops community as a space to connect nonprofits and makers on an ongoing basis. So Jane, just join the Adaptive Ops community, and we'll be posting in early next year about upcoming projects that you can volunteer on as a maker. Vice versa, if you're a nonprofit, keep us in the loop about projects, and we'll make sure that those get included as well. And then on the other side, we also are hosting Changemakers 2021. And so I posted the link to register for that. You can sign up right now. And if you sign up for that and you present your use case as a nonprofit, we might reach out earlier for this ongoing use case project. But we expect to do it on a much larger scale next year. So definitely recommend joining this one.
Yeah, and I would love to add a couple words of that. You know, we started earlier this year thinking about Changemakers 2020, and like I said, it was almost like an experiment. It was almost like a thought experiment. Can that actually make an impact? Could that be something that nonprofits are excited about? Could that be something that makers are excited about? And it was above my personal expectations. The amount of impact that I felt was able to done, and so we literally left the event, and we had a group, sort of like meeting to talk about it, and everyone that was involved in preparing and running this event, the feeling was mutual. My God, I can't wait for next year's event, right? And so for us, it's a no-brainer to really push that and make this something that hopefully will change the paradigm of what tools are available for nonprofits. Who are the people that are spending time volunteering on all sorts of ways, right? Like I think there's a lot of people that want to volunteer and they don't know how. They don't know if they can. And I think that's sort of the stage that we're trying to push and open that up more, because in a way, every maker that help a nonprofit is sort of by definition volunteers there, and that's kind of what they want to do as well. So we're gonna make this next year even bigger, but as exciting and yeah, like join us next year as well, and tell your friends and so on. The drill, but I'm already excited for it, and I have a year to wait, which is a long time.
Well, don't worry. We'll continue to do projects throughout before the event, so at least we'll have that. We have a question from Max here. Will a future for veterans still have access to Tonkin's platform in the future?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Okay, any final questions here? All right, Alexander, what's next for Future of Vets in 2021? What's the best way that people could help your cause? It's a good way to close out.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to close my own piece out. Thank you, Maxine, for asking that. Well, I think in 2021 we are going to keep doing what we're doing. COVID, vaccine, all of this worldwide stuff that we got going on. Our game plan is to provide safe, secure, predictable, affordable environments for military veterans to transition into. Our goal is to, facilitate this process early in the transition so that it saves money on the back end in the form of services and heavier things that are needed. So the best way you can support us right now, following us on IG and donation, whether it's time, energy. I'm really excited to be a part of this adaptive ops community and reach out to some of these makers and other nonprofits that are doing this work and see how partnerships can be established. I think 2021 partnership time. I think it's time to really build community. One of the best things that we did in 2020 was get some of these student veterans together who had time on their hands, willingness and energy to commit to something, and just needed an understanding of how we could support. And so we brought together, over like 300 meals and made sure that people got fed. And that was really inspiring. So I hope to do more of that. And I hope everybody on here connects with us. And I hope that we continue to build these communities. Jeff, I owe you a hike, or you got to come out to a hike. And as we build out this tool, I think it'd be great, to see how it functions within us, right? So thank you everyone for showing up.
Awesome. Yes. Round of applause for what Alex is building. All right. That was a great way to close it off. Sigi, any final words here?
No, thank you. Just again, thank you for everyone that was part of it. Thank you, Brianna. Thank you, the Tonkin team and the partners and the makers, and then the nonprofit that put the trust in us and in the makers to help. And so it's beneficial for both sides, and I think that's why it's so exciting.
Awesome.
So
thank you. And thanks, Saskia, for the kind words in the chat. Honored to have you as well, and love the work you're doing. Alex, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to join us and chat about what you guys have built and what you're continuing to build. And Sigi and Jeff, congratulations on building an awesome module in Tonkin for a nonprofit, for multiple nonprofits. And yeah, we'll see you all at Changemakers 2021.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Sigi. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.